80,000 Chinese troops have crossed the border, deep into India. Border conflict culminated when 80,000 Chinese troops invaded India, beginning the 1962 Sino-Indian border war. When two powerful nations cannot reach a consensus on the border, trouble occurs. That was the case in China and India in October 1962. Plateau Oksai Chin is one of the two areas of intense tension between China and India. This area connects Tibet with Xinjiang province of China. India tough with China. Sino-Indian tension began in 1959, when India discovered that China secretly built a highway linking Tibet with Xinjiang, through Indian territory in the Oksai Chin Plateau. Returning to China, Indian Prime Minister Jawaharlal Nehru then ordered the reinforcement of troops to the area. Indian groups of 5-10 people entered the disputed territory and set up the outpost here. Small strikes broke out between the two sides, prompting the Indian Army to propose the transfer of 7 battalions from the Pakistan border to reinforcements. However, the government rejected the proposal and ordered the continuation of the outpost. Former Indian Colonel Anil Athale said that China did not intend to occupy more land. But India is forced to take concrete action against the pressure of the people. Meanwhile, the military proposed the need to build a solid military base in Oksai Chin to prevent. The border situation becomes complicated when China sends a message to India, stressing that its military dominates the border and that New Delhi should avoid provoking war. However, the Indian government said the outpost strategy was a success, which has kept China under control for the past 2 years. We have to raise our flag, that is the order. On October 14, 1962, the People's Daily, the Communist Party's CCP organ, published an editorial reminding readers of the possibility of an attack on India. Nehru's claims will only make China ready to attack India. 2 days later, the Cuban Missile Crisis broke out when the Soviet Union sought to bring nuclear weapons to Cuba. Experts say China may have calculated that the United States must focus on solving stress without being able to help India. U.S. top intelligence expert Bruce Riedel said the target of Chinese President Mao Zedong's outpost was to humiliate Prime Minister Jawaharlal Nehru, strength with U.S. President John F. Kennedy and Soviet leader Nikita Khrushchev. Chinese troops swept across the border. On December 20, 1962, 80,000 Chinese troops opened 2 waves of attack at the same time 1,000 kilometers apart. Indian forces keep the border between 10,000 and 12,000 people. The war lasted a month in harsh conditions at an altitude of over 4,250 meters. The weather was cold and neither side used the air force. Chinese troops attacked more than twice as many as automatic rifles, while India only had guns fired once out of date, so it was easy to dominate. On the Eastern Front, the Chinese launched an attack on the southern bank of the Namkachu River. An Indian battalion could not stand up to 3 Chinese regiments and lost a few hours. Indian forces planned to raid as Chinese troops crossed 5 bridges spanning the river. But the Chinese side had planned ahead, firing shells early in the morning and attacking from various directions, causing the Indian forces to flee the trenches. Indian border defense forces are also unable to make emergency calls because the lines are cut off. Many Indian soldiers have to run to Bhutan to escape because Chinese troops do not cross the border. At other fighting hotspots, the Indian forces were mostly weakly resisted before running out. On the Western Front on the Oksai Chin Plateau, China easily took control of the disputed areas. Indian forces entrenched at the fortress were mostly destroyed or taken prisoners. On October 24, Chinese troops stormed into Indian territory, extending a further 16 kilometers before receiving a temporary order to stop the attack from Chancellor Zhou Enlai. The Chinese side sent a letter requesting the division of the border dispute. India rejected the proposal, which brought the war back on 14 November. The fighting broke out most furiously in Razangla, when 123 Indian soldiers destroyed 1,300 enemy troops. After this battle, the Indians, despite their victory, were forced to retreat almost from the plateau of Aksai Chin. The farthest away from the Chinese army is the suburb of Tezpur, Assam, deep within the Indian border of 50 kilometers. Local authorities ordered people to evacuate while officials stayed behind to destroy documents and cash reserves in anticipation of China's ability to fall. In the face of the threat of defeat, Indian Prime Minister Nehru had to seek the United States. He asked his Kennedy counterpart to fight aircraft and transport aircraft to support the Indian Army. New Delhi also wants to have 2 more B-47 bombers to bombard the West.